Have you ever felt like your life is on autopilot? Like you're just going through the motions day after day, not really sure why things are the way they are? Well, what if I told you that there are hidden forces shaping your life right now? These aren't some mysterious outside powers. They're actually habits that you've picked up along the way. But here's the thing. These aren't just any old habits. They're secret spiritual habits that have a huge impact on who you are and how you live. Now, you might be thinking, habits? Really? How can something so small be that important? But trust me, these little everyday actions and thoughts are like the building blocks of your life. They're the small choices you make without even realizing it, the tiny rituals you do each day, and the thoughts that pop into your head almost automatically. And when you add them all up, they create the big picture of your life. But here's where it gets really interesting. These habits aren't just about whether you brush your teeth before bed, or if you always take the same route to work. No, we're talking about deeper, more spiritual habits. These are the habits that shape your inner world. How you think about yourself, how you connect with others, and how you understand your place in the universe. They're the secret ingredients that flavor your whole life experience. And the most amazing part? Once you start to notice these habits and understand how they work, you have the power to change them. It's like finding a hidden control panel for your life that you never knew existed. Suddenly, you're not just a passenger in your own story. You're in the driver's seat, able to steer your life in any direction you choose. Now, let's talk about what happens if we ignore these secret habits. Imagine you're trying to bake a cake, but you have no idea what ingredients you're using. You just throw things in the bowl without thinking about it. What kind of cake do you think you'd end up with? Probably not a very tasty one, right? Well, that's kind of what happens when we don't pay attention to our secret habits. We end up creating a life that doesn't quite taste right, but we can't figure out why. When we're not aware of these habits, we might find ourselves feeling stuck. You know that feeling, like you're trying to move forward, but something keeps holding you back. You might set goals and make plans, but somehow you always end up back where you started. It's frustrating, right? And the worst part is, you might start to think that's just how life is supposed to be. You might start to believe that you're not meant for bigger things, or that happiness and fulfillment are for other people, not for you. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be that way. When you start to understand and work with these secret habits, it's like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you can see clearly. You start to understand why you do the things you do, why you feel the way you feel. And once you can see it, you can change it. Think about how different your life could be if you were in control of these habits. Instead of feeling stuck, you could feel like you're growing and evolving every day. Instead of feeling disconnected from others and the world around you, you could feel a deep sense of connection and belonging. Instead of wondering what your purpose is, you could wake up every morning with a clear sense of direction and meaning. And the best part? These changes don't require some massive, overnight transformation. You don't need to turn your whole life upside down or become a completely different person. It's all about making small, manageable shifts in your daily habits. It's about becoming more aware of the little things you do and think each day, and gently guiding them in a more positive direction. But I want to be clear, this isn't about becoming perfect or never making mistakes. We're all human, and life will always have its ups and downs. What we're talking about is developing habits that help you navigate life's challenges with more grace and resilience. It's about creating a foundation that supports you in becoming the best version of yourself. So, are you ready to discover these secret habits? Are you ready to take control of the hidden forces shaping your life? Because once you do, you'll be amazed at how much can change. Your relationships might become deeper and more meaningful. Your work might start to feel more fulfilling. You might find yourself feeling more at peace, more content, even in the face of life's challenges. This isn't just about improving your life. It's about transforming it from the inside out. Let's dive into what these secret habits really are. When I say secret habits, I'm not talking about some mystical practices or complicated rituals. These are actually very simple, everyday things that we all do. The secret part is that we often do them without realizing it, and we don't understand how much they affect us. Think of it like this. Imagine you have a garden. Every day, You water some plants without really thinking about it. You might not even remember planting some of them, but over time, those plants grow and shape how your whole garden looks. Some might be beautiful flowers that make your garden a joy to be in. Others might be weeds that crowd out the plants you really want. Our secret habits are just like that. They're the things we water every day in the garden of our minds and spirits. Now, let's look at a simple example to make this clearer. Let's say you have a habit of always focusing on what's wrong in your life. Maybe every morning when you wake up, your first thoughts are about your problems or the things you're worried about. That might seem like just a normal part of life, right? But actually, it's a secret habit that's shaping your whole outlook on life. It's like planting seeds of stress and negativity in your mind garden every single day. On the flip side, imagine if you had a habit of starting each day by thinking of 3 things you're grateful for. It might seem small, but over time, that habit could completely change how you see the world. It's like planting seeds of joy and appreciation every day. These habits aren't just about positive or negative thinking, though. They cover all aspects of our spiritual and emotional lives. How we talk to ourselves, how we react to challenges, how we connect with others, how we approach our goals. All of these are influenced by our secret habits. In this video, we're going to explore 5 of these secret habits that have a huge impact on our lives. These aren't the only ones out there, but they're some of the most powerful ones I've discovered in my own journey and in working with others. The habit of self-talk. This is all about how you speak to yourself in your own mind. The habit of reaction. This is about how you respond to the things that happen to you, especially the challenging things. The habit of connection. This focuses on how you relate to others and the world around you. The habit of presence. This is about how much you're really there in your own life, fully experiencing each moment. The habit of growth. This is about how you approach learning and personal development. Each of these habits plays a crucial role in shaping our lives, often in ways we don't even realize. But don't worry if this sounds overwhelming. Remember, we're not trying to completely overhaul your life overnight. We're just going to shine a light on these habits, understand how they work, and learn some simple ways to start shifting them in a positive direction. As we go through each habit, I want you to think about how it shows up in your own life. You might start to notice things you've never paid attention to before. That's good. Awareness is the first step to change. And remember, there's no judgment here. We all have habits that don't serve us well sometimes. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to grow and to create a life that feels more authentic and fulfilling to you. Also, keep in mind that these habits are all connected. When you start to work on one, you might find that others start to shift too. It's like tugging on one thread in a tapestry. The whole picture can start to change. So, are you ready to explore these secret habits? Are you ready to discover the hidden forces that have been shaping your life? Great. Let's dive into our first secret habit and start this journey of transformation together. Remember, every big change starts with small steps. And who knows? The small step you take today might be the beginning of a whole new chapter in your life. Let's talk about our first secret habit, self-talk. This is the voice in your head that's always chattering away. You might not always notice it, but it's there, commenting on everything you do, everything you see, and everything that happens to you. This voice can be your biggest cheerleader or your harshest critic, and it has a huge impact on how you feel and what you do. Think about it. What does your inner voice usually say? When you look in the mirror, does it point out all your flaws, or does it remind you of your good qualities? When you face a challenge, does it tell you you can't do this or you've got this? The way you talk to yourself shapes your confidence, your mood, and even what you believe is possible for you. Here's the thing. Most of us don't choose our self-talk on purpose. It's often a habit we picked up from others, maybe from how our parents spoke to us, or from things we heard at school. And because we don't choose it, we might end up with an inner voice that's way too harsh. It's like having a really mean roommate living in your head, always putting you down. Not very helpful, right? But here's the good news. Once you start paying attention to your self-talk, you can change it. You can train that voice to be kinder, more supportive, and more positive. And when you do that, it's like having a best friend with you all the time, cheering you on and helping you see the bright side of things. So how do you change this habit? Start by just noticing it. Throughout your day, try to catch what that voice is saying. Don't judge it or try to change it right away. Just notice. You might be surprised by what you hear. Then, once you're more aware of your self-talk, you can start to shift it. When you catch that voice being negative, try to rephrase things in a more positive or neutral way. Instead of, "I'm so stupid for making that mistake," try, "Everyone makes mistakes sometimes. What can I learn from this?" Remember, the goal isn't to only think positive thoughts all the time. That's not realistic. The goal is to have a balanced, supportive inner voice, one that acknowledges challenges but also believes in your ability to handle them, one that sees your flaws but also appreciates your strengths. Changing your self-talk takes time and practice, but it's worth it, because when that voice in your head becomes your ally instead of your enemy, everything in your life starts to feel a little bit easier and a lot more enjoyable. Now, let's move on to our second secret habit: how you react to things. This habit is like a recipe that you follow automatically whenever something happens in your life, especially when things don't go as planned. And just like a recipe, it has ingredients and steps that you follow without even thinking about it. Think about the last time something went wrong. Maybe you got stuck in traffic and were late for an important meeting. Or maybe someone said something that hurt your feelings. What was your immediate reaction? Did you get angry? Did you blame yourself or others? Did you try to fix things right away, or did you give up? Whatever you did, that was your reaction recipe in action. The tricky thing about this habit is that it happens so fast. Something happens, and boom, you're already reacting before you even have time to think about it. And if your recipe isn't a good one, you might end up making situations worse or feeling bad about things you can't control. For example, let's say your recipe for dealing with mistakes is to beat yourself up about them. Every time you make a mistake, you follow this recipe. First, you tell yourself how stupid you are. Then, you worry about what others will think. Finally, you decide you're not good enough and should stop trying. That's a recipe for feeling bad and giving up, right? But what if you could change that recipe? What if instead, your recipe for mistakes was, first, take a deep breath. Then, remind yourself that everyone makes mistakes. Next, think about what you can learn from this. And finally, figure out how to do better next time. Can you see how that might lead to better outcomes? The good news is, you can change your reaction recipes. It takes some work, because these habits are often deeply ingrained. But with practice, you can create new, more helpful ways of responding to life's challenges. Here's a simple way to start. The next time something challenging happens, try to pause before you react. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is my usual reaction going to help in this situation? Or is there a better way I could respond? Just that small pause can make a big difference. It gives you the chance to choose your reaction instead of just following your old recipe automatically. Over time, as you practice this, you'll find that you're able to stay calmer in difficult situations. You'll be able to see more options for how to respond, and you'll probably find that you're better able to handle whatever life throws your way. Remember, the goal isn't to never feel negative emotions. It's okay to feel angry or sad or frustrated sometimes. The goal is to have more control over how you respond to those feelings. It's about being able to choose your actions rather than just reacting on autopilot. As you work on this habit, you might find that other areas of your life start to improve too. Your relationships might get better because you're responding to conflicts in a more constructive way. You might feel less stressed because you're not automatically catastrophizing every little problem. And you might even find that you're more successful in reaching your goals because you're not giving up at the first sign of difficulty. Let's move on to our third secret habit: how you connect with others and the world around you. This habit is all about the way you relate to people, nature, and even to your own experiences. It's like your personal style of being part of the world, and it has a huge impact on how fulfilled and happy you feel. Think about how you typically interact with others. Do you tend to open up easily, or do you keep people at a distance? When you're in nature, do you really notice the trees, the sky, the sounds around you, or are you usually lost in your own thoughts? When you're doing something, are you fully involved in the experience, or is your mind always somewhere else? These patterns of connection or disconnection are habits that we often don't even realize we have. Maybe you learned to keep your guard up because you were hurt in the past. Or maybe you got into the habit of always being busy and distracted because that's what everyone around you did. Whatever the reason, these habits can leave us feeling isolated or disconnected, even when we're surrounded by people or beautiful things. But here's the amazing thing. When we learn to connect more deeply with others, with nature, with our experiences, life becomes so much richer. It's like turning up the color saturation on a TV. Suddenly, everything is more vivid, more meaningful. So how can we change this habit? It starts with being more present and open in our daily lives. Here are a few simple ways to practice. When you're talking with someone, really listen. Don't just wait for your turn to speak, but try to understand what they're saying and feeling. Make eye contact. Show that you're interested. You might be surprised at how much deeper your conversations become. When you're out in nature, use all your senses. Notice the colors around you, the smells, the sounds. Feel the breeze on your skin or the ground under your feet. This kind of mindful awareness can help you feel more connected to the world around you. When you're doing something, anything, even simple tasks like washing dishes or walking to the mailbox, try to be fully present. Notice the sensations, the movements, the details of what you're doing. This can turn everyday moments into opportunities for connection and awareness. Practice opening up a bit more. Share your thoughts and feelings with others. It might feel vulnerable at first, but it's how we create real connections. Start small, with people you trust, and see how it feels. Remember, this isn't about forcing yourself to be outgoing if you're naturally introverted, or about ignoring your need for alone time. It's about finding a balance that allows you to feel connected and engaged with life in a way that feels right for you. As you work on this habit, you might notice some amazing changes. Your relationships might become deeper and more satisfying. You might find more joy in simple things. You might even feel a greater sense of purpose or meaning in your life. And here's a beautiful thing. As you practice connecting more deeply with others and the world around you, you'll likely find that you feel more connected to yourself too. It's like tuning into your own inner world and the outer world at the same time. This habit of connection is really at the heart of spiritual growth. It's about recognizing that we're not isolated individuals, but part of a larger whole. When we live from this place of connection, we naturally become more compassionate, more grateful, and more at peace. Now, let's explore our fourth secret habit, being present. This habit is all about how much you're really there in your own life, fully experiencing each moment. It might sound simple, but it's actually something many of us struggle with in today's busy, distracted world. Think about your typical day. How often do you find yourself thinking about the past, worrying about the future, or just zoning out? Maybe you're physically at work, but your mind is on your to-do list for later. Or you're having dinner with your family, but you're mentally replaying an argument from earlier. This is what it means to not be present. When we're not present, we're missing out on our own lives. We're not fully experiencing the good moments, and we're often making the difficult moments worse by adding extra layers of worry or regret. It's like watching a movie, but you keep looking down at your phone. You might get the general plot, but you're missing all the best parts. But when we practice being present, something magical happens. We start to really live our lives, moment by moment. Colors seem brighter, food tastes better, our connections with others feel deeper. We're more aware of our own thoughts and feelings, which helps us understand ourselves better. And we're better able to handle challenges because we're fully there to deal with them, not half distracted or lost in worry. Practice mindfulness. This doesn't have to mean long meditation sessions, though those can be great. It can be as simple as taking a few deep breaths and really noticing how they feel, or paying attention to the sensations in your body as you walk. The key is to gently bring your attention back to the present moment, over and over. Use your senses. Regularly take a moment to notice what you can see, hear, smell, taste, and feel right now. This automatically brings you into the present moment. Do one thing at a time. Multitasking might seem efficient, but it often just splits our attention. Try focusing on one task fully before moving to the next. Create mindfulness triggers. Choose certain activities, like drinking your morning coffee or stopping at red lights, as reminders to come back to the present moment. Limit distractions. Consider turning off notifications on your phone or having designated times to check emails. This can help you stay more present in your daily life. Remember, being present doesn't mean you never think about the past or future. It's about finding a balance where you can plan and reflect when needed, but also fully engage with the present moment. As you practice this habit, you might find that you feel calmer, more focused, and more alive in your daily life. Our final secret habit is all about how you approach growth and learning in your life. This habit shapes how you deal with challenges, how you pursue your goals, and how you view your own potential. It's like the lens through which you see your own journey of personal development. Think about how you typically react when faced with a new challenge or opportunity to learn. Do you get excited about the chance to grow, or do you feel anxious about potentially failing? When things get tough, do you tend to give up, or do you see it as part of the learning process? Your answers to these questions reveal your growth habit. Some people have what's called a fixed mindset. They believe their abilities and intelligence are set in stone. This leads to a habit of avoiding challenges, giving up easily, and feeling threatened by others' success. On the other hand, people with a growth mindset believe they can develop their abilities through effort and learning. This creates a habit of embracing challenges, persisting in the face of setbacks, and finding inspiration in others' success. The amazing thing is, whichever mindset you have, it's a habit that can be changed. And when you develop a habit of approaching life with a growth mindset, it can transform every aspect of your life. You become more resilient, more open to new experiences, and more likely to achieve your goals. So how can you cultivate a growth-oriented habit? Here are some strategies. Embrace challenges. Instead of avoiding difficult tasks, start seeing them as opportunities to grow. Remind yourself that struggle is often where the most learning happens. Change your self-talk. When you face a setback, instead of saying, "I can't do this," try saying, "I can't do this yet." That simple word, "yet," opens up the possibility of growth. Celebrate effort, not just results. Pay attention to the hard work you put in, not just the outcomes. This helps build resilience and a love for the process of learning. Learn from criticism. Instead of getting defensive when you receive feedback, try to see it as valuable information that can help you improve. Be inspired by others' success. Rather than feeling threatened when others do well, use it as motivation. Ask yourself what you can learn from their journey. Set learning goals. Alongside your performance goals, set goals specifically about what you want to learn or skills you want to develop. As you work on this habit, you might find that you become more confident, more adaptable, and more excited about life in general. You'll likely find yourself taking on new challenges more readily and bouncing back from setbacks more easily. And most importantly, you'll be constantly growing and evolving, which is what the journey of life is all about. As we wrap up our exploration of these 5 secret habits, take a moment to reflect on how they show up in your own life. Remember, these habits, your self-talk, your reaction patterns, your connection style, your presence, and your approach to growth, are shaping your life every single day. The beauty of understanding these habits is that it puts the power back in your hands. You're not at the mercy of unconscious patterns anymore. You have the ability to notice these habits, to choose which ones serve you, and to gradually shift the ones that don't. This process of changing habits isn't always easy. It takes time, patience, and practice. There will be days when you fall back into old patterns, and that's okay. The key is to approach this journey with kindness towards yourself, celebrating small victories and learning from setbacks. As you work on these habits, you might start to notice some amazing changes in your life. Your relationships might become more fulfilling. You might feel more peace and joy in your daily life. You might find yourself achieving goals you once thought were out of reach. And most importantly, you might develop a deeper sense of connection to yourself, to others, and to the world around you. Remember, this isn't about becoming a perfect person or living a perfect life. It's about becoming more aware, more intentional, and more aligned with your true self. It's about creating a life that feels authentic and meaningful to you. So, I encourage you to start small. Pick one habit that resonates with you and start paying attention to it in your daily life. Notice how it shows up, how it affects you, and experiment with small changes. Over time, these small shifts can lead to profound transformations. You have the power to shape your life through these secret habits. Every moment is an opportunity to choose how you want to think, feel, and act. It's an opportunity to create a life that truly reflects who you are and who you want to be. Thank you for joining me on this journey of self-discovery and growth. Remember, the most important step is the one you take right now. So, what secret habit will you start working on today?